And welcome back to more The Legend of Zelda. So last time, we made our way to level 8, and this time we will hopefully be getting the last piece of the Triforce. And also collecting a few odds and ends along the way to the final dungeon. So first of all, we have a refight with Manhandla. That didn't go too badly. And past that, we have this really awful looking room with, let's see, 3 Gibdos, 3 Dark Nuts, and 1 Blue Dark Nut. So, luckily not all Blue Dark Nuts, because they are so much more difficult to deal with on top of these little spark enemies. And I do find it interesting how you actually have to defeat enemies to push blocks in these rooms. They obviously want you to fight the enemies and don't want you to skip past the challenging parts of the dungeon, so that makes sense. Through here we have one of our last major items, actually. This is the Magic Book. This upgrades the Magic Wand to have fire properties. So, we actually don't need the candle anymore, because the Magic Wand just outclasses it entirely at this point. It reminds me of the Fire Rod in other Zelda games, where once you get the Fire Rod, the candle, or the lantern, in other cases, is kind of useless at that point, because the Fire Rod is just a much better version of it. I think that's the case in Link's Awakening. I actually can't remember. I feel like you don't use a lantern very often, but I want to say there is a lantern item. It hasn't even been that long since I last played Link's Awakening, and I already forgot all this. I was going to fight the enemies to get heart drops, potentially, but I think it'll be a lot better to just continue onwards. Got another Manhandla fight. They really like reused enemies. I'm actually kind of surprised. I didn't remember them reusing mini-bosses like this much, and yet here we are. I don't even think we have to fight that one. We could have just blown up that wall and skipped past there, but oh well. We have 3, no, that's like 5 Dark Nuts, so we're gonna ignore them for now, and go over here. I do miss the quick button switching from other 2D Zelda games. I think of Link's Awakening as a good example of the Switch version specifically. By the way, the Pulse Voice are also weak to arrows. Since they don't have their sound weakness, they did give an arrow weakness instead. I actually want to say that they have an arrow weakness in other games as well, but I'm not sure on that. I don't remember if that was the case in Phantom Hourglass. So yeah, I do miss having multiple buttons to store items on. Having to swap in the menu constantly is a little bit annoying. It's kind of why I hope if they ever port the N64 Zeldas to Switch, that they'll go with the 3DS versions and come up with a way to map everything properly there, because I do prefer having more options to map buttons in the case of, specifically Ocarina of Time, because there's a lot of clunky spots from not having enough buttons for things like Iron Boots, and actually Iron Boots in N64 OT aren't even an equipable item, they're like a menu item. That's why they're so bad. Another problem I have with Zelda 1 is how few rooms are actually required. It's actually really weird, I find, how you can often complete dungeons and explore under half of them, it feels like. We're not gonna see every room in this dungeon. By the way, bombs are really good on Manhandla. If you can basically set it up so the bomb is in the center of it, it'll do a lot of damage to each of the little heads there. This is not good. We survived, but that definitely could have gone a lot better. So now we have the map. Now we also have a Goma. This one is blue, so maybe it'll actually put up a fight this time. These little flame spitters aren't helping either. I like how when Goma's a mini-boss, it's so much tougher than as an actual boss. It's kind of feels a little bit backwards. So that's 2 hits. we're definitely going to have to use the potion. Luckily, there's a way to replenish the potion right near the final level, so it shouldn't be a problem. We definitely have enough rupees for another potion. Moving on, there's this room. I guess I'm just gonna try to have to attack them while they're in the little square there. I can't get the heart, which is a shame. Actually, can I get the heart? I do have the boomerang, and I have been forgetting to use it. There we go, it actually does work. Neat. I just forget to use items in this game. I don't know what it is about this game. I think it's because there aren't puzzles. Therefore, I'm not really having to use items for puzzle solving except bombs, so I tend to forget that certain items even exist. That was cool. I wish I didn't take damage in the process, though. This here is the magical key, so you might have noticed that the key icon has changed from a number to the letter A, and that means we have infinite keys, essentially. Also, by the way, that top room should not be required, so we're gonna skip it. I prefer not fighting a bunch of enemies if I don't have to, because we have this awful-looking room here. How do I want to approach this room with one heart? I should probably heal, just to be on the safe side. But yeah, it is weird how big these dungeons are, and really how little you have to explore them. In all fairness though, I have a feeling it might also have to do with the magical key, speeding up some of this, because obviously if you have infinite keys, you can definitely skip going out of your way for key drops. That actually causes the final level to have a very different routing, depending on if you picked up this item or not. Obviously, you have a much shorter route if you did get the magical key, otherwise you have to go out of your way and really explore a lot more of it to pick up enough keys to actually get to the end. So yeah, I will definitely take having an easier time in the final level, because the final level is scary. I am actively not looking forward to it, because a lot can go wrong very quickly. So we're gonna hopefully get through it unscathed. We have been doing pretty well so far. This is another room that's just kind of like a chaotic mess, and I'm not really a fan of it. At least we have sword beams now. Let's try to hold on to them and not immediately lose them. I was afraid I was gonna get hit as soon as I said, hey, we have sword beams. Yeah, Dark Nuts are probably the worst regular enemy. I also remembered a mini-boss that's actually really bad in the final level, so that's gonna be fun when we get to there. Alright, so we got bombs. I wish it could hold more than 8. If they ever did like a remake, I would like them to put in a fairy fountain that gives you more bombs and arrow capacity, like have arrows be an actual item. Because as is, the system of using rupees is kind of odd. Though, to be fair, if you just, launched a gem at someone, it probably would hurt a bunch. So it kind of makes sense. Alright, so we have a key in the top right. We don't even need to pick up the key. It doesn't serve us any purpose at this point. Oh look, another key, and oh wow, that's a lot of enemies. Luckily they're all the orange variants, so, it's not too bad. It looks like a lot of enemies, but at least they're the easier versions. But yeah, picking up a key at this point doesn't accomplish anything. 10th enemy has the bomb. I think that's kind of telling you that, every time you defeat, 10 enemies, you get a bomb. At least I assume that's what that means. But through here should be the boss. And we have another fight with, I think this was Gleok? Except with 4 heads this time. I have so much health, I'm not really worried, so I'm just gonna power through. That is an interesting place for the heart container to appear in the bottom left corner. And with that, there's the last piece of the Triforce of Wisdom. So, I was giving it some thought between recordings, and we have time. I think I actually might go back to a couple of previously explored dungeons for a specific reason. In level 1, and I think level 5, I missed items. So, okay, that was a really bad warp. Let's try that again. Just for the sake of completion, I think I will go back and get the missing map and compass from 5 and 1, respectively. So just to show it off, I know it doesn't serve any purpose at this point because we have definitely already gone through here and we know where the boss is. But just for the sake of showing it off, it should be this room? I think it's this room. There's the compass, lots of keys everywhere, not a big deal at this point with our full life, and fully upgraded sword. It's kind of interesting that it's like the magical sword, and just someone gives you the sword, instead of having the Master Sword. That's a thing starting in A Link to the Past. I don't think Zelda 2 has a Master Sword either. But yeah, the warping definitely is consistent. If you're facing in one direction, you will warp consistently to the next place in order. So yeah, just face right, and you should eventually get to where you need to go. So this game was 86, so yeah, this would have been before Super Mario Bros. 3, so the whistle is a reference to this game. Also, there's the problem of which one was Dungeon 5? I'll be honest, I kind of forgot. Also, just double checking, but yeah, you can see on the pause screen how little of this dungeon we explored. Actually, that one we explored most of, but we did miss a lot of things along the way. I'm also trying to figure out ahead of time how to actually get to the last level. But yeah, here we don't even have the dungeon map. It should actually just be straight ahead. But yeah, I'm wondering how we're supposed to get to level 9. I think warping to level 1 would actually be the fastest option. Also, now that we have the infinite key, obviously it doesn't really matter at this point, using up a key to open up that door. So yeah, now we have every dungeon item. Obviously there might still be some secrets around the overworld, like little hidden grottos and such that we're missing. But in terms of, like, dungeon items, and not, like, just rupees and, you know, room completion, since that's not really necessary, we should have everything. So now, I was really afraid that enemy would hit me. Now we have to not warp to Dungeon 5 again. Let's just reset that really quickly. We have to warp back to level 1. I keep swapping between the term dungeon and level. The technical name is level 1, but, you know, I just think of them as dungeons because that's, like, the colloquial term. So this is level 3. I'm gonna defeat the Tektite, just to be safe, and so I don't accidentally get knocked out of the warp. And also, while we're at Death Mountain, I will definitely be restocking on potions, because, 2 full heals might sound like a lot for one dungeon. It absolutely isn't. This is like a really difficult dungeon, and a lot can go wrong, so, yeah, I definitely want to go in with full life if possible. I say that as I get hit by an Octorok. Okay, we're back to full health, so that's good. So from here, it should just be up and kind of to the left. It's kind of roughly where the graveyard is, kind of near there. I think it's up here. By the way, we still have half a potion left, so I might actually use it before buying a new potion, just for the sake of getting up to to full health before actually buying the potion, unless I get enough hearts just from enemies, which I actually did. I'm probably at like a quarter heart, but that's close enough. Never mind. In one of these areas, there should be an entrance. I really wish it applied to more than one square at a time, because it's really frustrating using up a bomb because you just tried to place the bomb kinda not far enough to one side or the other. So yeah, we're gonna use this potion once we're safely inside, and then we're gonna buy the red potion so we are really, really safe going into this last area. Alright, so we are as stocked up as we can be except bombs. I actually should be worried about that, because we do need bombs. So we might have some problems with that. We'll have to wait and see. So this is level 9, Death Mountain. Unique music, which is kind of cool, that we finally have a different dungeon theme. In this room, if you do not have the Triforce of Wisdom, the game will stop you from progressing any further. So just to show off an example of different routing, this room should drop a key if you defeat all the enemies. But we don't need to actually do this because we have infinite keys. But yeah, just in case you actually need keys still, like if you didn't pick up the magic key, there are plenty of options for getting enough keys to get to the end. So that's good at least. This is, by room count, probably the longest dungeon in the game, but it's actually not that long when you think about how you can skip rooms. If you can skip enough rooms, this goes by relatively fast. The problem is, this level is also very difficult, so in theory, it shouldn't take that long. In practice, it might take a while. So from here, I think we need to go up. Please go through the door, Link. Here we have more of these enemies. I wonder what these are supposed to be. I kind of feel like they might be like Moldorms, but I'm not sure on that. They just are usually fought by attacking the tail, and not the front, so I'm not 100% sure on what that is. Weirdly enough, my biggest concern about this dungeon is getting the map. It is, like, really difficult to actually get the dungeon map, because it's guarded by, in my opinion, one of the toughest enemies to fight in the game. I did practice this a little bit, it did not go well, as a warning, so we might die here. There's a very realistic possibility that we might actually die here. And also, there's a very realistic possibility that we might also get really horribly lost, because this is a little bit confusing. Is it this place that we have to bomb a wall to get the compass? I think it's this room. So let's see what's down here. Alright, probably have to bomb this wall as well. And we have a room full of Wizrobes, and a heart drop at least. The blue Wizrobes are definitely kind of scary enemies because of how quickly they can damage you. I feel like they do a lot of damage as well, in addition to just having fast attack rates. So I was standing on the square when I collected it, but we now have the compass. So all that's left are 2 key items, the dungeon map, and the final boss. And we'll be taking care of all of that next time. So thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for more The Legend of Zelda.